Thank you so much for that kind and generous introduction. To all the esteemed members who are present in the audience today, a big hello from California. I hope you all are doing well. This is day one, so thank you for coming over and participating in this session. I am very excited to talk to you about compassionate innovation today. Instead of blueprint, I've actually changed the name of the topic to a guide. And that's mainly because when I started working on putting the materials together, I realized as humanity, we haven't quite cracked the nut on what compassionate innovation looks like. So we're far away from the blueprint, but we do have a guide that I can offer to you today that you can make your own and continue advancing it to the benefit of your own self, your communities, and world at large. My work for the last 20 years has been very inward focused. Particularly for the last decade, I have also focused my attention in the lieu of service to bring more mindfulness and compassion into the work world and now in the innovation world. As I was introduced, I had the privilege and honor to lead mindfulness, well-being, and compassion learning programs for inclusion, health benefits for employees at Google all around the world. 170,000 employees were participating in daily meditations, taking on 7-day, 2.5-day mindfulness learning programs. So if you're students sitting in the audience, you all are really lucky that IIM Bodh Gaya offers you this opportunity to look inward, to create a better world outward. And all the other members who have also joined to co-create this space where we can reflect and develop from there on. Without further ado, I will go ahead and present my screen. And since it's a workshop, we just have very little time, but I will try to keep it more practice-based and interaction-based because that's where all of this really comes to life. Otherwise, it's a mumbo jumbo of words that we can read on internet and in the books. But the way we carry these practices in our life is how we live through them throughout our days and all the heartbeats we have left to live through. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Oops, not that one. Stop sharing. Okay, so where is that screen? Okay, can you see the presentation on the screen?
Yes, ma'am, your screen is visible.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so we're here today, but all of us are contributing to designing what tomorrow would look like. And that's why we need to pay attention to the role of compassion, mindfulness, and empathy in anything we do, in a job that we carry, or a business we start, or a social work organization that we may start as well. And that's why my attempt today is for us to start this discussion and start co-creating a guide. After this, if there are any mechanisms for you to provide feedback, I would heartily welcome that. So please reach out to me. Today's objectives for the workshop is that we want to cultivate mindfulness, empathy, and compassion as a practice. I would assume many of you have mindfulness practice, and I can see you on the screen. If you can raise your hand and let me know how many of you have a daily or a weekly or a periodic mindfulness practice in your life, that would be helpful for me to understand who we have in the audience. Can you raise your hand if you meditate or have a mindfulness practice? Amazing. A lot of people. Thank you. So now the next objective of this is to discover compassionate innovation. What is it? In my current role at Wisdom Ventures, our focus is to create a better world, a better future by bringing mindfulness, well-being, and human connection innovation in the hands of the people. And so I'm living and breathing this work and learning every day. I'm very lucky to be encountering many founders around the world who are developing ideas to bring more mental health resources in the hands of children, people who work in the workplaces, and also be very thoughtful about the future generation technologies that they're creating. So I speak from that place of experience right now, and I've been 2 years into it. So let's co-create this space. And then, we also want to focus on learning these skills to prioritize social impact. Everything we create, we touch, we develop in this lifetime has a ripple effect on how, people take it, what happens to our planet. Many of us are very familiar with the state of our planet right now, with the environmental sustainability challenges that are going on. And also, in many ways, our lives are being decimated every day because of so much stress and pressure around us, particularly in universities and workplaces. It can be enormous. A track that we might be on a daily basis. And when we are in that state of mind, we don't really know what we can do to innovate creatively that also has a positive impact in the world. So that's what we will be focusing on. You may be familiar with these definitions already, but these are kind of the cornerstones of the discussion today. So I wanted to put this up as a reminder of, what is mindfulness and how does that help us cultivate empathy, a skill that we're born with. It's a trait that most human beings are born with. And then how do we combine mindfulness and empathy and spring into action to alleviate suffering in the world? So, mindfulness is defined as the awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non judgmentally. So I'll repeat that: awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non judgmentally. What happens is, like, very often, all those who raise their hand when you sit in meditation, it's very likely our mind is going to get distracted. The thoughts are going to come, all sorts of sensations will come up in our body, and we will get distracted and we will start judging. We would like to decide to not sit in the meditation. And that quality of staying with all of those distractions that come up and watching them come and go as the clouds in the sky is what mindfulness is. This definition that I have up here comes from a Harvard biologist who turned into a meditation teacher. His name is John Kabat-Zinn. He studied meditation for several years in India and in many Asian countries. And he went back to Harvard Medical School as a professor, seeing so many cancer patients in pain, and started using mindfulness to help alleviate the suffering the patients were encountering on a daily basis. And essentially, like, we can have a distance between the physical pain or the mental pain that we're experiencing and watch it from a distance and accept and, welcome that in our life. So that's the cultivation of mindfulness practice on the cushion. However, this is also very helpful for us on a daily basis where, we may have painful moments in our day where our, sympathetic nervous system might fire off and we may not be able to regulate our emotions. But as we sit on the cushion and meditate and practice, our ability to respond to situations increases versus the ability to just be reacting to many circumstances that show up on a daily basis, be it traffic, be it an annoying coworker, a boss, a teacher, whoever we are encountering. But we can calm ourselves down in the moment and take perspective and shift through life with more ease and comfort. The second one is empathy. This is something that we are born with, and I said that before. If you remember, if you can just think of a moment where you see somebody like walking down a flight of stairs and they skip a step, it almost feels like we are skipping a step and we're going to fall down. And our natural reaction is to, like, reach out and see if we can help that person, right? Like, how many of you would agree with that, that we have this natural tendency to like raise, like leap out to help that person. So that's called empathy. You know, if you're going for a walk and you see somebody has been injured and fallen down, our empathy is like, as we're feeling the pain, we can feel that other person's pain, and we would like to take them to the hospital or to the doctor, most likely, unless, you know, we're so distracted and, you know, restless that we just don't even pay attention to it. So empathy is seeing the world through someone else's eyes and feeling what they feel. In many situations in our daily life, people come to us to tell us what's going on in their life. We jump into giving them advice and, you know, solutions, and which is good. You know, if they need that advice, it's great. But most of the time, people just want to be heard and seen in where they are in the life situation every day. Last but not the least, which is a combination of all of the things, is compassion. And that's basically the cornerstone of our talk today. Compassion is that dynamic and embodied process which goes beyond empathy, requiring action and intention to alleviate suffering. So the compassion can come in this example of like if someone skipped a stair and fell down, you know, really helping them out and, you know, getting them some help, bandage, like whatever they need, or just comforting them if they didn't get hurt. That's compassion. Feeling someone's pain is empathy. And then, you know, when you actually see that you want to take an action is compassion. And we can be compassionate at many levels. You know, the compassion typically starts with our own self. We are very hard critiques of our own self. You know, we say, like, there is a saying, like, we keep beating ourselves with our own stick, you know, all our life, and not give ourselves much chance to, like, you know, just feel where we are every day. So compassion can begin with our own self, between the two human beings, and society at large. And we can also have compassion with other species on this planet who are also struggling, as, you know, we humans have kind of taken over. And as I'll talk about, like, all of the challenges that are coming up for our planet and all the other species who live on it as well. But it's morning time. You know, your mind is probably still settling in. So, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to do a meditation practice to explore these dimensions of mindfulness, empathy, and compassion. It will be a short practice, and we will indulge in it and like fully arrive and also notice like how we feel these in our own body. So I invite you, if you're open to it, just to sit in a comfortable position. If you have anything in your hands, a pen or a paper, you can just settle it down. And please join me in this short meditation. So just simply becoming aware that you're sitting in the chair in this big, beautiful room at IIM Bodh Gaya. And your body is here, but your mind, since you arrived in this room, may have been somewhere else. And that's okay. We all tend to be distracted and not present in the moment where we are, where our physical body is. And so the body can function as a great grounding anchor for us in this moment to just become aware that we're sitting in this chair. It's holding us comfortably, easily, and safely. And simply notice your breathing in this moment. The breath is going in the nostril, passing through the passage of your throat, your heart center, all the way to your belly. And from the same passage, it makes its way out. The first act of our life is the breath in. And then the last act of our life is the breath out. Simply noticing the breath is going in and just resting your attention on the full body of the breath as you inhale and as you exhale. You notice any tension in your shoulders, maybe they're scrunched up and your hands are tight. You can just drop your shoulders, the invisible weight we carry. We can just put it down right next to our chair. We can pick it up when we're done. Staying with the incoming breath and the outgoing breath. Enjoying this present, juicy present moment with our full attention. Perhaps bringing a sense of gratitude in your mind, in your heart. Hey, we woke up today, we're breathing, we're learning, we're in good company. And if the thoughts and distractions come, simply noticing them, dropping the judgment. Oh, look, my mind goes in all these directions. Letting that be and allowing yourself to come back whenever your mind is ready, bringing the attention gently back to your breath. In this current moment, you're inviting self compassion in your life. You're giving yourself a moment to rest, rest without any distraction. Just truly a privilege these days. I'm going to slightly shift into a related practice, the practice of empathy and compassion. And many of you may have experienced this meditation as the metta practice, the loving kindness practice that we can offer to ourselves and for those in our life and the community at large. And if not, just come along with me on this practice. I invite you to think about someone who you really care for in your life. Maybe a family member who you love, nurture, friend, a coworker. And think about or just visualize that this person is sitting in front of you, smiling. This is another person, a human being just like you, who has a body and a mind and a heart just like you. Simply notice the sensations that may come up. Maybe a little tingly feeling of love and kindness. This person wants to be happy just like you. This person also wants all the resources to be available to them when a difficult moment arrives in their life, just like you. They want to live happily and in good health, just like you. And as you sit here and admire this person and feel gratitude for them to be in your life, you can send them some wishes. Maybe the wishes can be, may you be happy. May you have good health. May you be safe. Taking a deep breath in, connecting with your breath. You're still here in this room. And letting it go. And allowing this person to get up from the chair sitting in front of you and leave as you continue wishing them well. And taking a deep breath in and fully exhaling, returning to this moment. But before we end the meditation practice, I also want to invite you to bring to mind somebody who you may be having slight difficulty with right now. Nothing major, nothing traumatic, but maybe a coworker who you're not getting along with, a neighbor who's been difficult. And imagine now this person comes and sits in front of you in the chair, the imaginary chair. Now I invite you to look at them and bring to your mind that this person is also a human being, just like you. They have a body and a mind, just like you. They have happy moments and sad moments in their life, just like you. And for some reason, in this moment, this person causing any difficulty for you might be going through their own difficulty, as we all do, just like this person. And let's see if we can have some wishes come up for them. May you be relieved from your suffering. May you be free from pain. May you be happy. And allowing this person also to bow down to you and leave, I invite you to expand your awareness to the room you're sitting in, to all the human beings that are in the room with you, acknowledging their presence as they are human beings, just like you. They want to be happy, cared for, feel safe, have good health, just like you. And simply noticing your heart is expanding. You're taking in all of the sensations, the thoughts, and the judgments that may be coming up. And just breathing in and breathing out with all of that. Now taking a deep breath in, returning to your physical body. becoming aware of your environment, hearing any sounds that may be present, any smells, just waking up your senses and coming to the reality. And whenever you feel ready, at your own slow pace, you can open your eyes. Mm. Let's take a little stretch. There was like multiple meditations clubbed into one where we have little time today. So I wanted to just prime the space. Take your time. A lot of text up on the screen now. Um, you don't need to read through all of it. But mainly, we're shifting into compassionate innovation. An experience we just had right now, hopefully, is that we're all really connected to each other. And we all have the same desires and hopes for our life to flourish, to be happy, to thrive. And in these circumstances, like when we are aware that all the people want that in our life, in their lives, we can open up to the possibility of any work that we do in our career, in our personal life, can have a touch of compassion. So when I talk about compassionate innovation, it's not only the technology, but anything that you do, any idea you create and design in your life can have a touch of empathy and compassion and care in it. So, compassionate innovation is also referred to as human centered innovation or empathy driven designs. We just did this empathy practice. Like, if you are creating something and you bring the impact of that work on people around you, it will naturally evoke a value system and principles in you that can enable you to look out for the goodwill of people. It's a framework for approaching innovation with the focus on understanding and addressing the needs, challenges, and desires of others and our planet. The industries we create, the technology we create, the conduct of our work, it all affects each other and also how our planet can thrive or not. It goes beyond simply creating new products or services. We place emphasis on the positive impact these innovations can have on individuals, communities, and the planet we call Mother Earth. And why is this necessary today? It was interesting. I started this slide with three picture photos, but when I started searching all the challenges we are facing as humanity today, and not to kind of take us in the grim situation, but we need to be real about these things, that there is just a lot of damage that's happening in the world. And it's mainly caused by the lifestyle that we live with, the decisions we make on how we run our businesses, what do we create, starting from fast fashion pollution. My heart breaks like when I see these mountains of clothes in Indonesia, Vietnam, and in many countries where people just buy so many clothes and then they kind of send it, and there are piles and piles of it, and they're not compostable. There is industrial pollution that's surrounding us. Mental health issues are on the rise. 1 in 8 people, as per WHO, World Health Organization, is struggling with a mental health issue, and the top one being anxiety and depression. The cost of mental health issues on global GDP is going to be $16 trillion by the year 2030, is what has been projected by a study done by the Lancet in London. The drinking water is not safe in many countries. There's plastic and other waste that we see around that is actually um, combusting like our sea animal life. And cybersecurity threats are around us when we come to technology. I'm sure you all are wondering, just like me, what is artificial intelligence going to do to humanity? There are threats and there are possibilities. I'm very excited about it. I use it like in my daily life now with ChatGPT and things like that. But there is a huge, threat, like will that take over? There's lack of quality education and poverty still around the world. Many people still sleep hungry every day. And the lack of quality of health systems is also disabling us to have good health and well being. So, I would like to take a moment and maybe if you have a pen and paper, or you can turn to somebody if you have a friend in the room, and talk about or reflect on what role does cultivating skills of mindfulness, empathy, and compassion play in alleviating these challenges that I just showed you in the previous slide. Like, what is our role as business leaders now to be practicing in these awareness methods to be co-creating a better world? So I'll pause for just a minute, and if you have a pen and paper, you can just reflect on it. And I'd love to hear from someone if there is an opportunity to pass around a microphone, or if someone can speak to me around it, that would be great too. Is there someone who would like to share?
Hello, Ruchika ma'am.
Hello.
I am Ruchika.
Oh, hi, Ruchika.
So, ma'am, I feel that we are facing the problem of consumerism as well. So, if the leaders or the producers, or we say the big companies in the market, have mindfulness, empathy, and compassion, all these things, then they would produce in the same way, which will be in line with our environment. It will be sustainable as well. So, that is my view.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you, Ruchika. I appreciate you sharing that. It's so true. I think consumerism gets a lot of bad reputation, but there are 8 billion people close to that on planet, and we have needs. We want to wear clothes, we want to eat well, we want to, travel. However, there is scope, like if we as leaders are practicing these methods, then naturally our way of life is going to be influenced differently. Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Vishwanath.
Good morning,
Coming from
Vishnu.
healthcare background, one of the uh, picture which you showed me has appealed. That is mental health, which
Mhm.
is which comes under non-communicable diseases, because we have we have beaten the infectious diseases with lot of innovations. The best example being COVID. Now, when it comes to mental health, the primary reason is based on our lifestyle, stress due to the occupation. So, the presently what is needed is uh, uh, the mindfulness. They need to think for a moment what is the actual problem, and in order to uh, uh, find out that uh, most of the clinicians, I would say, because of the scarcity of time, there is no one to hear to them what is their problem, understand that
Mhm.
problem, and give the solution. because these are all natural problems, and once we give solution through natural way, that will remain for longer duration of time. Whereas nowadays they go for medications, uh, which will continue to progress with, because they don't treat the underlying cause. So I would say mindfulness, uh, practicing by each and every individual, and especially caregivers, is utmost important to minimize the, I would say, next epidemic of mental health. Thank you, madam.
Yeah, thank you, Vishwanath. I mean, that was the reason we actually founded the fund when we realized that, 1 in 5 people in United States is going through mental health problem, and WHO also shared that 80% of the people who are going through a psychosis, which is like extreme mental health condition, don't receive help. Um, Interestingly, there are a lot of companies that come to us that are creating chatbots now as therapists, because it's either very expensive to go to a therapist or they're just not available. And this is our U.S. Surgeon General here in America has declared like many emergencies related to loneliness, workplace stress, youth mental health, as a government-led initiative now. And in the place that I live in, like there's a city called San Mateo. The leader of that city actually has called out like an emergency in San Mateo with the mental health issues, particularly loneliness is really rampant. Thank you so much for sharing. In the interest of time, I would love to hear from others. If there is any pressing comment, I can pause.
Very good morning, ma'am.
Yes, yes, one last one, and then we'll move.
I'm Ramana from Hyderabad, ma'am. I work for healthcare. As
Okay,
Vishwanath
Ramana.
sir was telling, COVID was a really challenging state, wherein empathizing the patient was quite essential to reduce mortality, ma'am, actually. And that was the time even the healthcare worker need empathy from different social agencies. So we got a lot of support. Even Indian Army and Air Force has given a floral tribute to hospitals. That's a good example of empathy, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. Wow,
Thank you
thank
so
you for
much.
sharing that. Thank you. That's wonderful. Recognition goes a long way for us to feel safety and security. Um, and we've invested in a company that actually is focused on healthcare workers' mental health, particularly nurses and doctors working in hospitals and ER units, because there's just a lot of like things that you see that common people don't see on an everyday basis. So thank you for all the work that you do at the hospitals and taking care of all of us.
If I may. Good morning. My name is
Okay.
Sharat. Yes.
Yeah, sure. Hi.
So what I would like to highlight is that a lot of us are already aware about these situations and how to
Mhm.
deal with these situations. But unfortunately, what is not happening is the training and development in terms of how these needs to be executed. And I think that needs to be focused more than just coming up with solutions. We already have the solutions, is what I believe, and we
Mhm.
need to ensure large scale training and development across the world to ensure majority of the people are benefited from this. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it's a worth a cause to kind of think about scalable learning. And perhaps like we can talk a little bit about, because that's what I did at Google for 10 years. I was in learning and development for employees, doing executive development, mindfulness learning, compassion learning, well-being learning. And it did help. It did help to raise awareness and bring in some models that people can follow and adopt in their life. Okay, so speaking of compassionate innovation, I'll leave some room for Q&A towards the end, but I'll whiz through these slides. I think you all are just very smart and grounded people. You're getting the drift of this presentation and workshop today. So I would love to kind of just see how you continue building upon what you take away from the workshop. So compassionate innovation, the three tenets of it. One is empathy is the foundation. If we numb ourselves from emotionally feeling other people's pain, in many situations we have to do that, and we get conditioned to it to a degree where we can't, like, drop that wall anymore, then it's very hard to be kind of thinking of how we can make our life and other people's life and our planet's life better. So empathy is the foundation. Understanding the lived experience and the perspectives of those who will be affected by the innovation or any contribution we're making in the society is important. When we design the products, there are two parts of human-centered design, like how it looks and appeal, like the apples of the world. I would say when, a lot of people buy iPhone because it just appeals, the look and feel of it is great. What we are talking about here is designing for humans and flourishing of our planet, not just for profits. In addition to the functionality and the visual appeal, it should have like some positive impact, or at least not have negative impact. I've been in Silicon Valley for about 25 years, and had such a privilege to work at the highest tech companies. But what I realize is that these technologies are great, but we also have youth mental health disorder, and youth today are spending more than 9 hours of their active time looking at the screen. Our brains are not wired for it. Our DNAs are not adjusted to it. So ADHD, ADD, schizophrenia, anxiety, depression, all of them are on the rise. So how do we, while I was at Google, I worked with this department of digital well-being to come out with some features. Now, if you have Android, you can actually activate digital well-being on your phone, and it'll tell you, if you're open to it, that how much time you're really spending on which apps every day. So that's like what human-centered design is as a part of compassionate innovation. And by far the best measure of compassionate innovation is it unfolds more positive impact than the negative impact on all the fellow human beings and local and global communities we live in, and ultimately our planet. So there are three I's, the cornerstones of compassionate innovation, as I'm learning right now. It's the innovator themselves. He, she, they need to develop their own self-awareness through mindfulness practices, through actively listening, and regulating our tendencies to manage ourselves better, not be reacting, and really soaking into the self-awareness piece of it. The internal motivation, Daniel Pink is an author who wrote multiple books on this, on intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation. You may have heard of him or his work. And he talks about that inner motivation is actually the major driver of anything that we would do. After a certain point, I'm a mother of a 19-year-old who just went to college now, and there's just so much influence I can have on her. It's all about like her own inner motivation on how she wants to build her career, what she wants to do, and the power of impact she wants to have in the world. That's a major driver of how we innovate. And lo and behold, we will run into obstacles as we try to create anything good in the world, which is different, which is novel, and helps other people. So building resilience to overcome those obstacles and keep going, even when people are telling us like this idea is not going to fly, but in our heart, we believe in it and we are internally motivated to do it. That's what brings it to life. And overall, throughout this process, you won't be able to do this alone. You'll need to bring a village with you. When they say, there's a saying that it takes a village to produce something good or produce something bad. So, you as learning empathy skills, compassion skills, and being an outstanding leader are the key components. And, these are the 5 things that we actually taught to all Googlers in our marquee program called Search Inside Yourself, which was mindfulness-based emotional intelligence program backed by neuroscience. So that's you. Like we all start with our own self first. And the idea, matters as well. What is the idea? Is it to kind of create another fashion brand and fabric that cannot be composted, or an industry that creates more pollution, or a technology that makes us more addicted, or the other way around? It advances us. Like we invested in a company called Rec, and I don't know if in India, pickleball, which is like similar to like a tennis game, is becoming popular, but it's becoming really popular here, where people in the neighborhoods can find each other and go play like badminton or tennis, and they make friends like that, because US is like marred by loneliness problem right now. So like that's, I feel, is like a human centered idea and execution on bringing a compassionate innovation to life. It protects and heals our environment. The idea advances human life on this planet, and it increases connection, trust, and safety, rather than creating more isolation, which we feel these days. Like we could be sitting with our family members in the same room and be all on the phone and not talking to each other. So just becoming aware of, like, when you're creating an idea, is it checking these boxes? And there might be more. I accidentally left a bullet in here, but I'm sure there are more points we can add to each of these these buckets. And eventually, the impact should be measurable. There's better health and well-being available for all. We live on more sustainable planet. The climate change has stopped, and our environment and other species are living healthily also on this planet. And the innovation creates more interconnectedness and interbeing between all of the humans. Here are some key words. I just wanted to put it up there. I'll share this presentation with all of you. Like these are the sentiments that need to be present when we are compassionately innovating. Generosity, compassion, care, community support, love, nurture should be really present, top of our mind. Respect for each other, commitment, and dependability and responsibility. Those are the feature set that we need in our daily life, to be asking ourselves, like, am I being a responsible human being today toward myself and others, and the work that I'm doing? And that's what brings it all to life. Here are a few options on, again, as I said, this is a guide on how we can get started on developing skills for compassionate innovation. The first one is self. And I wanted to club together not just awareness, not just regulation, but also self-compassion. We can't be hard on ourselves and expect ourselves to be authentically compassionate towards others. Can we? I don't think so. I've tried, but it always feels very fake when I'm beating myself with my own stick and trying to be nice to other people. It just doesn't feel authentic and honest. So it all begins with you. So this is all going to contribute towards the compassionate qualities in us. Empathy and active listening. As I said, we can't create something big on our own. We need to bring a tribe together and actively listen to them, and co-create in the world, cultivating a purposeful life, contributing to something bigger than us, being of service. Of course, if you've studied Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we all need some foundational element, as we call it, like when I was in India, the roti, kapda, and makan are like the common elements. Like we need shelter, we need food, we need clothing. And from there on, our journey can, once we have achieved that in our life, our journey can look more broader, and see what is it that I can do in this lifetime that's helpful, for even just the local neighborhood I live in. Resilience and flexibility, we talked about that. Cultivating resilience and flexibility to navigate challenges with compassion and adaptability are key skills. And then take a broader lens. My go-to broader lens is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I did not. Like, it's been about 5 years I've been kind of delving into it to understand what are the top problems that our world is facing. How do I educate myself on those things so that I can cultivate a purposeful life? And I can have such an internal drive to meet those motives that the resilience and flexibility can come along the way. As I practice mindfulness and empathy all along. And these are those sustainable goals. It's available to you on their website. We all need to create the shared global vision where we align our initiatives and of all the innovative endeavors with, I'm not like selling the UN goals, but they have a huge staff that just does this work, researches what are the top issues, like we want to eradicate poverty, bring zero hunger. Nobody should sleep hungry. How do we create good health and well being, give quality education, gender equality in this world, create like opportunities for clean water and sanitation, just the basic rights that should be available to all human beings, and so on and so forth. So I invite you to look into this. And there might be issues closer to home for all of us, right? Like our neighborhood, our city, our state might need something that can advance our collective humanity, our collective progress and prosperity. What can you do about that? And what product and service will be helpful towards that? Are some of the invitations I'll leave you with today.